Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're taking a deep dive into a problem that plagues so many solar setups: inverter overheating at full load. If you've ever wondered why your system suddenly struggles when you really push it, well, you're absolutely in the right place. We're going to break down the physics, the math, and the actual mechanics behind why your inverter gets so hot.
Okay, let's dive right into this. What actually happens inside your inverter when it runs at full load for too long? I mean, most people just notice the obvious symptom, right? They touch it and say, wow, it gets hot. But beyond that loud fan noise and the warm casing, what is really going on down at the component level? Well, it's actually this continuous, intense energy conversion process happening right there inside the chassis. And once you understand it, it totally changes how you look at solar power.
Now, if you poke around online or watch some of those generic DIY channels, you'll hear a ton of oversimplified advice. People just telling you, oh, your load is too high, or throwing out a blanket warning like, just keep it under 80% capacity. But the actual reality? It's fundamentally different and honestly way more scientific. It's not just some simplistic capacity issue, it's really about strict DC to AC conversion loss and the absolute physical reality of thermal saturation. We're going to look at the actual mathematical reality of the thermal physics at play here.
So here is the absolute golden rule of power electronics. Every single watt of inefficiency becomes heat trapped right inside the unit. Think of your inverter kind of like a leaky bucket. It just doesn't convert power perfectly. When DC power enters the system from your batteries or your solar panels, only a certain portion of it actually becomes usable AC output. The rest, it doesn't just magically disappear, it leaks out. But instead of water, it's leaking out as pure thermal energy.
And this brilliantly illustrates the core issue. Let's say your inverter is operating at 90% efficiency. Now that sounds great on a spec sheet, doesn't it? 90% becomes usable AC output to run your house. Awesome. But take a look at that remaining 10% slice. That chunk is lost entirely as internal heat, mostly due to switching losses and internal resistance. And here's the kicker. When you're pushing thousands of watts through that unit, that small 10% suddenly becomes a massive amount of raw thermal energy radiating directly into your highly sensitive electronics.
To really grasp this, we've got to look at the math. This lays out those core electrical relationships super cleanly. At the top, you've got your input power. That's just your DC voltage multiplied by your DC current. Then your output power is your AC voltage times your AC current. But the absolute most important piece here is that bottom line, converted heat, otherwise known as power loss. Mathematically speaking, your power loss is simply your input power minus your output power. The exact difference between those two numbers, that is exactly how much heat is being actively generated and trapped inside that metal chassis. It's literally simple subtraction, but man, it dictates the entire survival of your system.
Section 1. The danger of low voltage.
The number 12. Listen, if you're running a 12-volt solar system, you really need to pay close attention here. This is a surprising but absolutely vital fact. For the exact same power output, a lower input voltage requires a significantly higher current to achieve it. Basically, a 12-volt system is going to pull double the current of a 24-volt system and 4 times the current of a 48-volt system just to do the exact same work. And trust me, high current is the absolute worst enemy of thermal stability.
Let's trace exactly how this happens step by step. So, step 1, you start with a lower DC voltage input. Step 2, to meet your high power demand, the system is mathematically forced into a proportionally higher current draw. Then, step 3. This massive heavy flow of DC current just forcefully pushes its way through those internal components, which dramatically accelerates resistive heating. It's kind of like intense physical friction happening right inside the wires and the traces of your inverter. That friction generates heat at an incredibly rapid rate compared to what you'd see in higher voltage setups.
Now, all that internal friction has to go somewhere, right? And it aggressively attacks very specific component stress points. First up, your MOSFETs. These are those little switching components that are rapidly turning on and off to convert that DC into AC. Every single one of those switching cycles generates a tiny thermal loss. Under full load, those continuous rapid-fire losses add up unbelievably fast. Then you've got capacitor thermal stress, which actually physically degrades the internals and drastically reduces the lifespan of the unit. On top of that, there's inductor saturation, which increases what's known as ripple heat. And finally, the absolute worst case, if you have any dust buildup or, heaven forbid, a fan failure, well, these internal components lose their one and only defense, and they'll literally just cook themselves.
Now, what's really interesting here is that heat generation isn't just a straight, predictable line. Just look at how this plays out. At 50% load, the heat is totally low and manageable. Bumping up to 80%, it gets moderate, but then at 100% load, the heat generated just spikes. It becomes disproportionately high. So why does that happen? Well, as power approaches the inverter's maximum rated limit, the actual efficiency of the unit usually starts to drop off slightly. And because it's less efficient right at that extreme top end, a much larger percentage of your incoming energy starts turning into pure heat instead of usable electricity. That's exactly why the temperature rises in such a nonlinear, unpredictable way.
And that brings us to a really vital concept, thermal saturation. It's the critical state where internal heat generation completely exceeds the inverter's cooling dissipation capacity. You really need to understand this one. This is exactly why an inverter's rated power, that big number printed on the sticker, does not equal a safe, continuous thermal equilibrium point. It just doesn't. If your heat sinks and fans cannot remove the heat faster than your MOSFETs and inductors are generating it, well, the internal temperature has literally nowhere to go but up.
Let's move along and see how this builds over time, because it really proves that overheating isn't an instant failure. It's actually a slow, steady chain reaction. At just 1 minute of full load, your fans are going to hit maximum speed just trying to keep up. Fast forward to 15 minutes, the outer casing becomes noticeably warm to the touch. By the 30-minute mark, internal temperature sensors detect the danger and they trigger power derating, which physically reduces your output power just to try and protect the system. And if that heavy load stays high and the cooling is still insufficient, well, at 60 minutes, you are looking at a complete thermal shutdown.
Section 2. Preventing thermal shutdown. So, the absolutely crucial point here is implementing these strict design rules in your own setups. First off, you've got to build in thermal headroom. Seriously, do not design a system where you need 100% of the inverter's capacity running continuously. It's a recipe for disaster. Second, use correct cable sizing. You want to minimize any resistance before that power even hits the inverter. Third, ensure you have adequate enclosure ventilation. Give the thing some room to breathe. And finally, avoid sealed cabinets and high ambient heat. Things like dust buildup, poor airflow, or just a hot room will completely cripple your inverter's cooling capacity and drastically increase your thermal risk. I want to wrap up with this really powerful final thought directly from our source material. What looks like a simple overload issue is actually a thermal balance problem. Isn't that an elegant summary of everything we've talked about today? The whole shebang is just a delicate balance between power conversion and heat dissipation happening inside that little box. So take a hard look at your own solar design. Are you properly balanced? Or are you slowly pushing your equipment right toward thermosaturation? Definitely think about that the next time you hear those fans spin up to full blast. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive today. Keep learning, and I will see you in the next explainer.